When it comes to dubbing, I favor spectrumized blends featuring a collage of colors. John Romer's Simi Seal is one of my favorites. The myriad of colors within his Canadian black Simi Seal partners perfectly with a fluorescent orange bead. My CBO, named after these two ingredients, has become a personal favorite, especially in stained water or in low light conditions. Here are the materials you will need to tie your own selection of CBOs. So let's tie the CBO, another favorite in my balanced leech series of flies. Into the jaws of the vise, I've placed a Daiichi 4640 number 10 60-degree jig hook. This is one stout, strong hook. I took flies tied this fly down with me to Argentina, and it withstood the rigors of those monster trout down on Lago Strobel. Only comes as big as a number 10, so 10s and 12s. 14s for really small micro leeches, but I use this number 10 most often for the CBO, which by the way stands for Canadian Black and Olive. It'll become more apparent in a minute when you see the ingredients on this fly. So we're just going to attach some black tying thread. This is MFC 6/0, more stout thread. So we just get that started, come back up just to the point where the thread's going to fall off the downturn towards the hook eye, and then onto a sequin pin I have slid a 1/8 inch tungsten bead with the large open end of these tapered beads facing the pinhead, so it envelops the pinhead. And experience has taught me you can do a pre-balance. If you watch my orange pumpkin fly balanced leech, shows you how to pre-balance. But I've tied so many of these things that over the years now I just know that having this kind of proportions works best regardless of the size, because I use 1/8 on the number 10s, 7/64 on anything smaller. And if you can see here, I could get 2 more of these beads onto, if you envision that, 1 more bead, 2 more beads, that's the right proportions. There's enough space to get 2 more beads on there. So I'm going to come up, wrap in and around, and kind of figure 8 through. Just get a really good purchase on here. Lots of thread, bind it down. This sort of extension does not factor in when you fight the fish, but just want to add some durability. If it's not secure in there, it will at times lever out or get damaged up if you fish these cast and retrieved, which is an excellent way to fish balanced leeches. Please don't think this is just a fly to hang under an indicator. It works very well, but when you cast and retrieve, it's a little jig and you can walk them right over the bottom, because these flies will land nose down and stick up, and very tantalizing to any foraging fish. So I've coated that up. Normally if I was tying a bunch of these, I would do this step whip finish and set them aside and build a whole pile of chassis, but we're on the move here today, so we'll just tie it consecutively, all the steps. So the rest of the part now is just tying a fly. So a very simple fly. We're just going to have a tail of black marabou. So I've just finished covering up the balance of the shank and finished with the thread right at the back of the pin, because we want to secure our marabou in this section so we even out our overall underbody. And we've got a marabou plume here. Nice one. I'm looking for fibers with nice bushy barbs sticking off them. They give the illusion of bulk without a lot of materials. I don't like the really thin stuff. It's just a personal preference. This is shorter fibers here. I'm just going to strip those out of the way, and I'm just going to stroke the feather so I get a clump that is more or less, by doing this I've evened up the tips, because I don't like to, if I can, I avoid pinching my marabou to length. I like the nice natural tape of the feathers to really help add action to the fly. So I'm just going to come in, strip a clump as far as I can. Can't strip any further. I'm just going to roll that onto what I haven't stripped. And I got a bit more of the feather going here, but I'm just barreling through and rolling this around just like that, just rolling it up. And what that's done, I'll show you as I remove it. Now I've got a nice, relatively even tail going here. And I moisten those fibers a little bit just to help control them. And I want to tie in a tail that overall is from the end of the pin to about the bend of the hook. Not too long, because if you have too long a tail, it's going to affect the balance of this fly. If the tail's too heavy, it's going to tip backwards. Not the end of the world. But you want this fly, when if you're going to fish it under an indicator, obviously suspend in a balanced fashion, more or less horizontal. It's going to pitch and undulate sort of this way, horizontally under there. And if you've got I've got a few fibers here that are a little errant, sticking out the back. We'll just trim those in. But I got a nice gathered tail. I actually have a little bit of stuff here that's somehow shorter. So again, you can probably leave it in. It's not the end of the world, but it bothers me, so it's gone. Tied in place, and we're going to add a little bit of tail flash. This is one of my favorite colors in the flashable range to use, 6904. I think it's called Ice Blue Pearl. So I've cut a notch in the side of the package, which allows me to reach in with my scissor points like so and isolate one or two strands, which is all I want. So I've got 2 strands here. Bring that tying thread forward. I'm just going to hold and just halfway enough, on this length of fly. I've probably got enough to do 3 flies, so I'm being a little liberal in my quantities here today, but I'm just going to take the 2 fibers that are behind the original tie-in point and just hold them along the near side of the hook facing me and secure them right along the shank to the base of the tail. Come back forwards, take the 2 strands that are forward of the original tie-in point and hold those along the far side and secure those to the base of the tail. I'm going to stroke everything together, and I'm going to trim those just slightly longer than the tail. And that's all going to blend in. I don't know if they all show up, but I kind of moistened everything together. Whoops. Moistened everything together there just to keep the marrow is going to get wet anyway. Just keeps it nice and gathered and out of harm's way while you're trying to tie the rest of the fly. Alright, so we've seen the O part of this fly's name, the orange. Now we're going to use the Canadian black for the body from Arizona Products, John Romer's. This is it's black, but you can see there's just a myriad of colors in here. This is Canadian black. It's just a wonderful color. So we've got that set aside. We're going to form a dubbing loop. I'm going to bring my tying thread forward. I'll find my dubbing tool here. We're just going to use like these crochet hook style. This one's got a weight on it just for some inertia to spin things tight. So I'm going to pull down on my tying thread, put my forefinger in about 4 inches or so, back straight up, start winding the thread backward, rotate that thread loop, see how it's still all apart? Watch right at the base of the hook, how winding back to the base of the tail closes it up nice and tight. So that helps pinch your dubbing in place. And now all we're going to do is wind our tying thread forward, right up onto that pin and push that bead as much as we can against the back of the pin head there. I'm going to take our dubbing tool, insert that into the loop, replacing my forefinger, and then we're going to come in with our Canadian black dubbing, the CB part of this fly's name, and I'm just going to pull it apart a little bit just to make sure it's nice and mixed. And then I'm just going to take a little pinch. I can see through this pinch, right? You can see that. There's not a lot there. Don't overdo it. The dubbing is a cumulative effect on this fly. You don't have to put all of the dubbing on at once. So I just pinch that in. I'm trying to position the dubbing in the loop so the fibers, if possible, are more or less running perpendicular to the loop. It's not super critical, but perpendicular if we can. And then we're just going to Just fill up the loop nice and even clumps all the way up. There's no barren spots. There's no really thick applications followed by 2 or 3 thin. It's all the same stuff. I'll get that loaded up. I'm going to get another pinch. It's a little off camera here. Just get that lined up. My dubbing loop's nice and loaded. Just pull it beside the fly here, you can see. And then we're going to start spinning slowly. You don't want to go too fast. You might run the risk, especially if you're using dubbing loops for other less, not, feathers and things like that. They could spin out. And then I'm just going to come in with my forefinger. I actually hold the loop here, and with this weighted end, I just spin this loop tightly below my forefinger. And when I let go, that twist carries on to above the forefinger. So once those fibers are radiating out like this, about 90 degrees, I'm good to go. So prior to winding the dubbing forward, I like to come in with my dubbing brush here, take out the last project's dubbing fibers out, and I'm just going to brush the dubbing loop all the way along its length, just to free up any of the fibers, the mohair, nylon, and mylar fibers that are used to make up these unique dubbing blends that John has, because I want these fibers not to get trapped down. I want them to flow back and help contribute to the leech look of this fly. So once that's done, I'm going to take and moisten my fingers slightly to hold the tail so I don't wrap accidentally. And you can see how the bottom of this loop is bare. Here, this is bare thread. This helps me aim right at the base of the tail, a couple of wraps around right at the base of bare thread. Then I start, my dubbing goes right where I want it. I got time to aim it and sort of walk it into position. And then with each wrap now, I'm going to go forward and just use my left thumb and forefinger to sweep back any fibers. I spent all that effort with the dubbing brush after spinning the loop tight to brush the fibers back. I don't want to mat any down, or if I mat some down, keep it to a minimum. So it's just like you can even moisten your fingers. This is, let's get my bobbin out of the way here. This is like a hackle almost, where if you moisten your fingers, come up and just sort of sweep the fibers back. It's as though you're winding a pheasant rump on a Carey special, or a partridge feather on a soft hackle pattern. We're just going to use those moistened fingers. When we get up to that hook eye, we just keep on going. Go right by it. And then I like to come in on about on an angle like this and tuck it right in, just to make sure it's tight up against that hook eye. And just keep winding the balance of this dubbing noodle forwards. And we're just going to come right up. Again, I've been moistening my fingers. I can spin it some more to make sure I haven't got any slack in the system. And just wind that and just push that bead tight against, push the dubbing noodle tight against that hot orange bead. And I'm going to come in just enough, 2 wraps over the top, another 1 or 2 wraps right in behind, and reach in with these fine point Dr. Slicks, reach right in, trim that off, and then I'm going to apply head cement. And again, if you've probably seen some, if you haven't seen the flies before, you'll see them there too, but I use this habit of using super glue, a brushable super glue, and I'm just going to coat the tying thread with the glue and let the thread carry it in. If I tried to dab glue right in there, there's a good chance I'm going to glue down all those fibers. I spent so much time trying to free up and not get matted down, and just work that thread, that coated thread, right in there. A little bit of down pressure will help squeeze it out. Take my whip finisher, three to 5 turns, whip finish, and the tying portion of the CBO is done. So now what we're going to do is give this another brush along its length. Just comb everything back on all 4 sides. So sides, the bottom, the top, just get all those fibers out, and then kind of comb it all back. And to do a final styling, once I am done, I would then get a glass of hot water, either out of the microwave or a kettle, take a pair of hackle pliers or hemostats, grab it by the hook bend, and dip the body of this fly into that warm hot water, and that will style this fly, take all the memory out of the fibers, and really give it flow. And if you watch my other leech flies, the one in particular, the Ruby Eye Leech, I show that on my channel how to do that. And there you have it, the finished CBO. It's an excellent dark colored fly and works particularly well in cloudy water or at depth where light is an issue. That hot orange bead really stands up. You got great silhouette, and again that myriad of colors that Canadian black Simi Seal offers. It's a wonderful fly.
For more information on fly fishing, and stillwater fly fishing in particular, please visit my website at flycraftangling.com. Here you will find fishing tips, fly patterns, articles, information regarding my seminars and schools, along with links to my blog and mine and Brian Chan's online stillwater fly fishing store. You can also visit our store directly at stillwaterflyfishingstore.com. While you're visiting my site, please join my mailing list to receive my educational newsletters. You can also follow me through my social media channels. Don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel if you haven't already, and give this video a like. Please take the time to watch my other videos as well. Thanks for watching.